Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
What up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. It is Friday night. Free Energy Friday is back. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. Check me out now on all social medias. Guys, went viral on TikTok yesterday for a video about how dangerous the MH370 videos are potentially to me. Ooh, we are out there, guys. We're out there being our sensationalist self, sensationalizing a little bit. But actually, if the MH370 videos are real, then truthfully, like, it would be stupid if there weren't people watching me. So who knows? Who knows? Guys, I started the stream a couple minutes early today because I just want to interact with the people who got here early and answer questions, and finish my coffee that I'm drinking here. So go ahead. Yeah, please like the stream. So yes, if you have seen more content on really all the platforms, I told you guys I was going to get serious about this. And I've been thinking about when you make a company, you have like your core pillars of your company, your values of your company, like what you try to achieve with your company. For us, when I really think about it, if you were to look back at all the other live streams, I think you're going to find that over half the content is really educational content. Science, physics, it's educational content. And then you have some small percentage of news content that's in there. And then you have a percentage of content about just randomly aliens and UFOs. So I don't know. It's weird to think about, like, the niche that this community has filled is quite unique. Quite unique. Any questions in the chat? So today, guys, Free Energy Friday is not necessarily always about free energy devices. Oftentimes, it's just about what is free energy, explaining the concepts. One of the things that I've been considering is, well, we've done a lot of research over the last year and a half. But to go back to some of the ideas that we've already talked about and reinforce them, that's how you teach people. That's how you educate people. At the end of the day, what we are doing, what I'm doing, what this represents is a different way of achieving disclosure. A harder way. Requires learning. Sometimes requires math. So that's what we're trying to do here with this. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about, we have a lot of videos queued up actually tonight. I'm going to show you guys the DIRD, the extracting energy from the quantum vacuum that is this live stream is named after, so that you guys can check that out. We're going to watch a little Stephen Greer on free energy. He was on Patrick Bet David. Show a little bit of the anonymous video about me that we didn't get to before. Some of the Emerald appearance about disclosure. And another video about the Casimir Effect and 0-point energy. So that's the plan tonight, guys. So for people that are new, one thing I want to say about 0-point energy, the most important thing, if you're just joining or if you're watching this on a recording, is that you have to realize that there is energy all around us, and we can cheat the system. We can cheat this universe that we're in, and we can pull a little bit of that energy out. And this has been proven. Casimir effect, dynamic Casimir effect, it's proven that this is true. And so we have to take what we've experimentally seen and incorporate that into the nature of our reality. That has not been done. This is the year 2024, and that has not been done. That has not been done. It's actually crazy. When I was looking through this and preparing for this live stream, and I was watching these videos and this stuff, I'm just going, holy shit, man. Why am I the person doing this? Why is it me? We do not deserve, like, we deserve something much better than a random IT guy being the one out here with the live stream on the YouTube channel, all this stuff, talking to podcasters. Truthfully, we deserve like what Neil deGrasse Tyson should be, but just isn't for some reason. He's just a complete sellout. Instead, we just need like somebody who's like literally has an open mind that like looks at the evidence and asks tough questions. Like, hey guys, can we give up on this idea that like dark energy and dark matter are out there? We've been searching for 40 years. We haven't 50 years. We found no sign of them. There's no dark matter and dark energy. The problem is if you ask that question, then it causes you to reevaluate whether or not general relativity is really as infallible as a lot of physicists want to pretend like it is. And that's really, I think, the basis for the question that we're asking, which is, what if space is not empty? What if space is not empty? And if space is not empty, then although our 3D reality would make us think that you can't get something from nothing, we're not really, because there's something special about our reality that we call an extra dimension that has this energy in it. This extra dimension is how we have to think of it, because we can't see it conventionally in our three-dimensional reality. But there's this energy there. We can tap into that. We can cheat this system of reality that we live in. And if we can do that, we can produce free energy. We can produce, through the power of the sun, or, fusion, as they call it, we can produce a warp drive. We can ride on that ripple of that free energy wave, essentially, that it creates. When I think about disclosure, this is our intro for tonight, guys. When I think about disclosure and what does disclosure mean? This is another big question, but a simple question. In fact, tomorrow, I'm talking to Nick Pope tomorrow, legendary UFOologist. I'm so excited to talk to him. I cannot wait. First question I'm going to ask him, what does disclosure mean? What does this mean? What does this mean to you? It's such a basic question, right? What is disclosure? Because if you ask that question and someone's response is, oh, well, we're going to learn that aliens are real, and then we're all going to sit around and in a circle and sing Kumbaya, then that person's delusional. And I think there's a lot of people that think that's the case. They think that like, oh, aliens are real, guys. We're gonna change our whole way of our civilization. People actually they look at it almost the exact inverse that I look at it. From a lot of people's perspectives, they think that the idea that aliens are real is the big reveal for everybody that's going to break everyone's minds. And they think that idea that free energy is real is like some insignificant thing. Yeah, well, free energy is real. Technology exists. And you're like, wait. It's actually the opposite. Aliens being real doesn't matter at all. There's what was someone saying? There was a good quote that somebody posted. But whether or not aliens exist has no impact on me at all. I don't think about it at all. It has no impact on my life at all. Like there could be octopuses and other weird creatures that are, all over the place. I don't go looking for them. I don't go look trying to make contact with them either, because we're not on the same sentient level as they are. And we're probably not on the same sentient level as non-human intelligence is. But free energy changes everything about our whole life. Especially because a lot of the same people one of the tricks that I pulled, guys, was, and still am pulling right now, because I know how to play a propaganda war, is a lot of people are obsessed with cleaning up the environment, climate change. Well, it turns out a lot of the people that are obsessed with aliens are also obsessed with climate change. So when you break out the alien technology, the free energy technology represents like a literal end of climate change, like forever. Not just end of climate change, but like we could revert climate change. like we don't even have to worry about what we already did. Like that's what free energy represents. And then they're like, well, so is that still not as significant as aliens? Like for a lot of people, like that should be just enough, right? We haven't even talked about Jetsons and hoverboards and anything like that yet, or how I can just literally make a Stargate and teleport away. We're not going to talk about this very much, but just because there's one more thing this made me think about. There's a scientific paper as well that I was sent. And I'm just going to read. I'm going to post this on Twitter tomorrow, so don't freak out. And people have crazy FOMO. If you tell them about something and you don't give them the payoff, like we'll literally just like have a meltdown. But the basic idea is there's a scientific paper that seems to imply we might be able to entangle two existing points in space and time together. We could do probably a whole live stream about that. Like maybe we'll do a live stream on Monday about teleportation. Because that it's pretty crazy, the idea that we might have found a way where we can take two existing quantum systems and entangle them together into a network. That is the basis for teleportation. That's the basis for teleportation right there. One entangled system over here, one entangled system over here. Chat, wait for it. Wait for it. Two different entangled systems. Boom. Teleportation. Okay. Yeah, that's a wormhole, chat. Okay, let's get right into it tonight, guys. First of all, let's hit some of these donos. Free Flow Friday. We are the change. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here, guys. And Sam Fisher. What do you think it means if we live in a quantum computational information processing system? I think that means we live in a simulation. I can't really avoid it. That's probably what's going on. Why? Because everything, matter is energy. We potentially have access to free energy. And therefore, it feels like you could make an infinite system pretty easily that just fractally scales up or down, however you want to look at it. So it may turn out that Rick and Morty was right, that it's just a bunch of energy systems miniaturized inside of another energy system in another dimension and blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Who knows? Appreciate life while we're still learning, chat. Okay. Hopefully you're drawn in now. Now let's get into some of the hardcore science, chat. First thing you need to know. Intelligence reference documents. Defense Intelligence Reference Documents, also known as the DIRDS, DIRDS, Defense Intelligence Reference Documents, extracting energy from the quantum vacuum. Hopefully, pray to God that name is correct. Concepts for extracting energy from the quantum vacuum. Close, close. Now, relax. I'm going to show it. Okay, guys, here we go. Concepts for extracting quantum energy from the quantum vacuum. This was written by Eric W. Davis. Okay, Eric W. Davis, government physicist, Black Project engineer. You can find a lot of his videos that I've shared, live streams, YouTube, what have you, X. Now, one of the crazy parts about this is if you look up Ken Shoulders' name in this, the EV phenomenon. This is the plasma balls. That's what this is right here, EV phenomenon, plasma balls. There's a whole section dedicated to plasma balls here. Experimental program to explore the physics of microscopic plasma vortices, aka force-free plasmoids. And a plasmoid is just a plasma toroid. So it's just a donut of plasma. So a plasmoid is just donut of plasma. There you go, chat. It's easy to remember. Yeah, I'm a disclosure journalist. This is a good way to put it. Basically, it's ball lightning. Why do they call it ball lightning? They call it ball lightning because it's thought to have this massive energy density like lightning does. Like, do you want to get struck by lightning? No. You don't want to get struck by a ball of lightning either. That's what we're seeing happen in the MH370 videos. You're seeing ball lightning, EVOs, whatever the hell you want to call it. That's what you're seeing. We figured out how to stabilize these plasmas to a crazy degree and then control them. It's like Zeus, like in the mythologies, right? Like Zeus can strike thunder down on you. Like we've learned that power, the power of gods. And then we probably connected it to quantum. Thank you for appreciating my humor. We've connected it to quantum entanglement. And now we figured out, hey, we can zap things away and just they go off somewhere and who gives a shit? They're gone. Or we can zap them to a place we want them to reappear. And that's teleportation. And it's crazy, the scientific paper that I'm going to share tomorrow. I need to read through it, just make sure I understand the context correctly. But it really does seem like figuring out how to use existing, basically finding tunnels in space-time that are already out there. And what's wild about this is I'm sure there's a clip of me out there saying that that's how we were gonna advance this technology. I've said it so many times. That at some point in the future, we'll be able to advance this technology where we can find entangled locations and then just teleport something anywhere we want. But then in 2014, potentially we needed a fourth orb, 4 orbs. So my name is probably going to end up being correct, but only for a limited period of time. And then we're not going to need the 4th orb anymore, most likely. Anyway. But so just like already what I want to point out is we've only looked at one paper for about 5 seconds and just been chatting for a little bit. But can you already understand the difference between the disclosure that I'm bringing to the table and what basically 90% of the UFO community is bringing to the table? Most of the people in the UFO community are basically like Sasquatch hunters or ghost hunters. They're basically ghost hunters. And that's not to put them down. I enjoyed the show Ghost Hunters. I would be like, I would get done from work and I would be like, I am just going to have a beer, get a little inebriated, and watch these dudes pretend to find ghosts. And it freaked me out a little. It was fun. I liked it. But it's not reality, right? Reality is, how is the physics? Like, if I see something crazy like an orb, we have to figure out scientifically how that works. And we were in luck in this situation because there were already a bunch of physicists and scientists who've been working on this for 70 years. So all we had to do is find their work and realize, like, oh, these are the guys, these are the legit guys. These are the non-ghost hunters, right? So what's crazy to me is that the number of people that have even attempted this is like you can count them on one hand. You can count them on one hand. And I think that a lot of it's because there was no social media before this. Now with the ability of social media, with people like you guys, it makes this possible. And what I want to say too is, like, normally I wouldn't even address a rumor. It's so silly, is that, but people say, like, one of the anonymous videos says that I'm ex-CIA, or some people try to say I'm CIA. Guys, the CIA wishes they could pull off what we are pulling off right now. Not in their most wild dreams could they pull off something that's organic like this. When you watch something that's inorganic, it comes off, it's very obvious. It's very hard to do inorganic stuff on long-term live streams because the truth ends up cracking through here and there. So I just want to point that out. Yeah, no, the CIA screwed up big time with these videos getting leaked. And I guarantee you guys, they thought for sure that when people would look at this, they thought nobody in the world would ever believe this is real. That's what they thought. The reason why they didn't make this video disappear from everywhere on the internet, which they probably could have done if they really, really want, it would have taken resources. They could have done it because they thought nobody would ever believe this is real. Not before it ends up getting disclosed. So maybe they plan in like 20, 30 years to disclose this information, but they thought no one's going to ever believe this before that. And the problem is people started waking up sooner. And it really is, guys, this is the last thing I'll get off my soapbox after this. People really are. It is really a situation where people are waking up, because I'm one of them as well. Where all of a sudden you go from CNN brain, Reddit brain, and you're like, wait a minute, something isn't right about this reality. There really isn't something right about it. And then you see a video like this that's a military video that's just impossible to dispute. The authenticity is impossible. It's just far too high quality. There's far too many details. The camera shake, all this stuff. It's clearly a real video. And you see this and you just go, oh, man. You go, we've been getting lied to about a lot more than what I think people are ready to accept. A lot more than what I think people are ready to accept. And that brings us full circle, because that's what this is all about. You realize you were never going to get that disclosure. You were never going to get that disclosure from the government, anybody affiliated with the government. The government can't allow itself to be discredited in that level, in that way. That's why UFO disclosure has been such a shit show. Because there's people that want the information to come out, but at the same time, there's people telling those people that if you let this out, we'll put you in prison, because I'll go in prison if you do let it out. Let me say that again. There's people out there and who want the information to come out, but there's people who are their friends who are going, you can't let this information go out. We'll put you in prison if you let this information go out, because if you let this information go out, I'll go to prison. That's the truth. That's the reality of our situation right now. Is that so much criminal activity. Also, real quick on the USAID thing, this is also relevant to that, is that like Donald Trump is basically saying like the vast predominant amount of aid that was going through our US aid system is all basically fraudulent. Like there's basically no value being gained out of any of this money that we're sending. It's basically just a huge system of money laundering where these people are just giving money to their friends' companies, and those people are just living off the teat, basically doing nothing, no accountability whatsoever. And I believe it. And the most hilarious part about it is that every company you ever work for, if you work for any big company or if you work for the government, you have to take all these trainings about, you know, not exactly how not to be corrupt and what to do to not be corrupt or what have you. And then it still turns out that everything is corrupt. Everything is corrupted, including, of course, the UFO phenomenon. The UFO phenomenon is just as corrupt as the US aid stuff and everything else. It's all just corrupt bullshit. That's why Eric Davis, the guy who wrote this, even he's bullshitting in this, but not the way you would think. He knows even more than what he's writing in this paper. He probably knows it's all real and has built devices that show that it's real. That's how crazy it is with these government engineers. They're also spooks at the same time. And the only thing that we can know for sure is they're not going to put something out that's fraudulent, because these guys care about their reputation. So we know that because you could otherwise say, well, then how do we know what the science they're putting out is real or not? Because there are academics that can peer review their content and they can find out if it's actually fraudulent. Like if they're doing math that doesn't work, you can find that out. So we can find out. So then we can assume that, okay, well, what they're saying is true, but they might know more, and they might lie, and they might say something doesn't work when it did. Right? Because they're just giving their opinion, and their opinion, they can lie. Now, what I wanted to point out about this, I'm not going to read through all this because we got videos to watch. This is crazy. Shoulders and collaborators subsequently investigated different approaches to extracting useful energy from the vacuum by way of exploiting the EV phenomenon, which is the plasmas that we're staring at. Even though EVs can easily be produced in the lab, efforts to test this hypothesis have not been met with success to date due to technical problems. However, this topic is ideal to pursue for further research. Ideal to pursue for further research. So I'm going to skip ahead to the NG8 video right now, which is just silent anyway, and I can talk over it. But so this is why I'm so excited about this company, this NG8, which I'm not affiliated with. I'm not getting paid to support them or anything like that. I'm just excited about them, and I hope I don't end up getting rugged by them because my heart will get torn out. Because I look at this, and this is what Eric Davis is talking about. This is literally what Eric Davis is talking about. The thing I just read you in the paper that I just showed you from 2010. You're looking at the EVO plasmoid reactor right there, right next to me on this screen. And this is from a company called NG8. They call this a cell, C-E-L-L, cell, because it's kind of like a little miniature reactor. And this thing can actually just strip the hydrogen straight out of the molecules in the air. So it can almost quite literally run off of nothing, run off of just air. And the claim here, although it's hard to, I mean, when people say, okay, show me the proof or the scientific evidence, like what exactly are you asking for? Like they had people come and peer review or like come and do independent examinations of their stuff. And it came out that they have a 3.0 coefficient of performance. Great. So, you know, beyond that, they're a private company. You can't force them to do anything that they don't want to do. As for why people don't really want to advertise their stuff, well, I don't know. In this case, partially because they're probably still tuning it, trying to make it better, things like that. And then they know how people will try to use like disinformation against them. But anyway, not much more to say, but some people are also saying like what's your source on this and stuff? The source is me. I was actually literally on the call and recorded this on the call. The source is me on this. I'm actually not really sure I should be sharing this, but I don't think they care about just this with no sound. So the source is me. This is a real device. This was shared earlier. I think it was today, yesterday. I don't know, whenever, recently, within 24 hours. So yeah, source is me. And this is the future one way or another. The reason why I'm excited about this is even if this company isn't the one, this is the future right here. This is the way we're going to get energy. Because if you just look at this and just imagine what you can do with this, you can just make a furnace with this easily. Right now, a furnace has just got a pilot light running all the time. This is like a pilot light. So you make a furnace and it's producing free energy, just producing excess energy. You pump 1 unit of energy in and you're getting 3 units of energy out. And there's a maximum it can produce. And right now it can run for like, I think they said, I don't know how many hours, 2 hours right now. So it's not perfected, but it's on its way. And so this is what I'm excited for. And here's the point. If a public company has this and is fundraising for a line of investment for a commercial product for this, then the private military contractors, the United States defense agencies, whatever, they have had this probably for 30 years. The public is so far behind what the military and defense contractors have produced. It's kind of just disgusting. I mean, these guys are trying to make a 100 kilowatt reactor, and all they need is $4 million. To the defense contractors, $4 million is nothing. $4 million to the defense contractors is nothing. So imagine if the defense contractors were in a situation where they realize they can make a cold fusion plasma reactor, and they're like, all it takes is $4 million. Okay, sure, here you go. Go, yeah. If it works out, then throw it on the shelf. It was only $4 million. We don't want it to work. They don't even want it to work. You know what I'm saying, chat? So anyway, highly recommend checking out this paper if you want to know more about concepts to extract energy from the quantum vacuum. The basic idea is how to cheat physics, how to utilize quantum physics, and how to actually pull energy out of it. Sometimes heat, sometimes electricity, whatever we got to do to get the energy out. So absolutely a very real concept. And once again, I keep saying this. I wish I didn't have to keep saying this, but for some reason, no one is out there teaching it. If I was in a physics class in college, the class I would want to take is concepts for extracting energy from the quantum vacuum. That would be an amazing class. Shit, maybe I should be teaching it. Okay. I think I'm going to switch the order of these tonight. We're going to go now to this other one that I like here, because this is just more hard physics. I can understand like maybe 1 out of 3 words this guy says. So bear with me. Guys, British people, am I right? Oh, wait, that's not it. It's this one. Is there captions? Can the caption system understand British people? I don't know. Let's find out.
The uncertainty principle, a thing called the Casimir Effect, and hopefully a little bit about black holes as well. So I guess we have to start with the basic physics, which is the uncertainty principle. It's this weird thing that you can't measure the position and the momentum of a particle at the same time. And actually for this video, the important one is you can't measure the time of something and the energy of something at exactly the same time. So if you've got a photon, you can measure exactly when it arrives if you want, but then you don't know what its energy is, or you can measure exactly what its energy is, but then you don't know.
Okay, I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit for the censors and the YouTubers and basically tell you that what this guy says basically is that I can't volume up the video. Everybody always asks this every time. There's no way to volume up the video. I wish there was. Welcome to StreamYard. Basically, quantum mechanics says there's energy all around us. And if we start doing the math on it, it turns out it's infinite. It's infinite. And if it's infinite, then wait, what? How does anything work? How can all this whole system we're in work? And so what physicists did is they did something called renormalization. Renormalization. You can look this up, 100% real. And they just decided we're going to renormalize it. We're going to make it make sense. What? Make it make sense? And so they just made the infinities go away. Real story. Real story. Pretty wild. So this skips ahead through like a couple minutes of this guy's discussion here. One sec. Let me hit up these donos too. My educational background. It's not my educational background that I think makes me good at teaching stuff. I've always had a weird affinity towards explaining and teaching things. And I think that it comes from the way that I'm analytical. Like for me, when I think about anything, I always want to know exactly how it works. Like Skylar in the Heroes TV show. Skylar was a mass murderer who had a superpower where he could go into your brain, rip it out, and steal your superpower. And you just wanted to know how everything works. But when you want to know how everything works, you also do that to your own content. And you're like, when I tell somebody something, I want to explain it in a way where me, as the person who wants to know how everything works, would want to hear it. So, maybe that answer is too complicated, but thank you for the donation anyway. Sam Fisher, dumb question, but is everything Elon doing with batteries and chemical rockets one giant red herring? Batteries, I think, are fine. You always potentially need a location to store the energy in our observable reality. Otherwise, the energy is going to get lost. You either have to use it or lose it. Use it or lose it, baby. So not that part. The chemical reaction stuff. I'll leave it for you to figure out, guys. Is Elon Musk debating us? High probability, I would say. High probability he's debating us. Definitely, I think anybody that doesn't realize that electromagnetism and gravity must be connected, just must be. Just looking at the equations, the history, they probably shouldn't be shooting rockets up in outer space. Or maybe they should be. Maybe they should be. Maybe that's their destiny. Maybe that's as far as people like that go. But we should be thinking further than that.
a phenomenon thing called the Casimir Effect that was predicted way back in the 1940s that says that if you do an experiment where you've got two plates very, very close together, so about a micron apart, so 10 to the minus 6 meters apart, then actually what happens? Well, you've got this seething mass of photons being created out here by this uncertainty principle, and you've actually got photons being created in the gap between the two plates as well. But the interesting thing is, because you've now got this pair of plates, that actually restricts the kind of photons that you can create. You can't, for example, create light with very long wavelengths because it wouldn't fit into that gap. So just by having a pair of plates, although this effect is still going on, you create fewer particles in the gap in between than you do out here. Now, the photons out here bouncing around and hitting the plate exert a pressure on it. And the photons in here bouncing around that are being created by this virtual effect create a pressure this side. But of course, now we're creating less photons in this gap, which means there's a bigger pressure this side than there is on this side. So there's actually a force. And this force has now been measured, that you can actually detect this force. You set up this experiment, you can actually detect this force, and the plates actually get pushed together by this effect called the Casimir effect.
So why is this so important? Why is this so important? This is the most important thing, guys. So what did we just figure out? There's energy everywhere all around us. So much energy all around us that physics had to cheat because they kept measuring it as infinite, and they had to make the infinities go away. And then we figured out if we put these plates together, all this energy is popping into and out of existence all the time, all around us. They figured out we can actually manipulate that. This crazy energy that's roiling around that we can't perceive, we can't see, but we know it's there. And all it takes is putting two plates next to each other. That's it, to interact with that energy. Now, you still might say, okay, well, sure, Ashton. You showed that there's energy there. You showed that we can interact with this energy. But how do we do anything meaningful with it? Show me one meaningful thing we can do with energy that's in the quantum vacuum. And my response would be this, and then we're going to watch the video. Is pulling light out of nowhere useful? If I can make a dark room illuminate from nothing, is that useful? I think that would be something coming from nothing, right? By definition, that's what that would be. Let's find out.
Where you're actually seeing this effect of the virtual photons being created, this seething mass of virtual particles, but just more of them on one side of the plate than the other. It explains things, but the main thing it does is creates a huge problem. Because if you're a theoretical physicist, you can do a calculation that says, okay, so I'm creating all these virtual particles. They've got mass associated with them. How much mass am I actually creating in the universe that's just from this stuff popping into existence? And the answer is, unless you're very careful how you do the calculation, you end up with an infinite mass. And so it's actually one of these problems that theoretical physicists have, that if you do a naive calculation of just says, well, let's let this effect go, what's going to happen? And the answer is you end up with a universe that just doesn't work, because you end up with infinite mass density everywhere, and the whole thing, you get infinities appearing in your mathematics.
Can't have that. Can't have infinities appearing in the mathematics. That's illegal. You can't violate the made-up laws of physics that we just made up right now. So physicists literally did the math, and they found that if this energy is popping in and out of existence, it should lead to an infinity energy density in our universe. Well, yeah, this is like the equivalent, chat, of being on a boat in the middle of the ocean and saying that you're in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, you got water all around you. You got fish in the water. You want to try to go fishing? And they go, no, there's nothing there. And you go, well, why don't you jump out? And you can go swim in the water that you're saying doesn't exist. It's not there. And they go, no, that's not really there. That's just nothingness. And you're like, oh, wait, what? This is the same idea. Is that a lot of people don't realize that the 0 point energy is what's giving us mass. It is what gravity is. It is explaining why there is gravity. Gravity is explaining why we're stuck to the planet. Mass, inertia, all of this.
So theoretical physicists have to do all this clever maths using a process called renormalization, which basically is a way of kind of shoveling all those infinities under a rug and not worrying about them anymore.
I get the impression this must be a very faint phenomena, because, like, for example, when a rocket ship's going to the moon, it's not running into a barrage of particles that keep popping into its path.
Well,
It is running into it. Who is this person questioning him? So if you didn't just hear that, he goes, it must be pretty negligible, this 0 point energy, because otherwise, if a rocket ship was shooting out in outer space, it's not barreling into the, yes, it is barreling into the 0 point energy. That's inertia. That's what inertia is. Not, do you get it? You get it? And you're going, but the effect is really small, but it adds up. It adds up when you're trying to accelerate towards the speed of light. The speed of light is a very big number. So even though the effect of inertia, the resistance to acceleration that you feel in outer space is very small, it's not nothing. It's not nothing, and it's important, because if you're trying to accelerate towards the speed of light, inertia and mass is what's slowing you down. That's what's slowing you down. That's what's preventing, or sorry, not slowing you down, but yeah, well, actually, yes. That's what's slowing you down.
it is, but actually you're right. The impact it has on the rocket is tiny because the forces involved are very tiny. And that's this effect of this, again, if you just do a naive calculation that says how big should this effect be, if you're not careful, you end up predicting it should be a huge effect. And somehow it ends up being normalized down to this very small effect.
But it is a big effect. That's like saying, me giving you a speed of light limit, that's like saying the speed of light limit's not a big effect. It's a huge effect. It prevents us from going anywhere. We can't even get to Alpha Centauri because of the speed of light limit. The speed of light limit is hugely important. So to find out that it's based on this 0 point energy, this now, and that we just cheated the math, we just decided to cheat the math on 0 point energy because we didn't want to calculate it, because we decided that if there was this huge energy density, well, it should be pushing back. There should be more resistance if it was out there. Not necessarily. Maybe we just need to change the theory to match observational reality. And this goes back now to Kaluza-Klein theory in 1926. The idea that there's an extra dimension that unifies gravity and electromagnetism.
It is, you're right, it's a pretty small effect in everyday life.
Okay, you did promise me black holes.
Okay, so we need to do another thing before we get to black holes, which is was the Casimir effect. Now, there's a thing called the dynamical Casimir effect, which says that, okay, so if I got this pair of
dynamic Casimir effect. So now you're about to listen to the magic. I debated you a little bit too early, but here we go.
Plates, then this phenomenon goes on, and we have these virtual particles being created out here and on either side, but there's fewer in here, and that creates the force. Now, the dynamical Casimir effect says that actually, if you think about the virtual particles being created in here, if I accelerate one of the plates very quickly, so instead of just having them sitting next to each other, I move it backwards and forwards very quickly, some of those virtual particles become real. So actually the things which were popping in and out of existence, some of them actually become real particles. And there's two ways to think about this. Either you can think about it of saying that actually when you wrench them apart, that these little pairs of particles which pop into existence and then recombine and disappear again, they kind of lose track of each other because they kind of get pulled apart as well.
They lose their twin.
They lose their twin. Or alternatively, if you want a duller explanation, you can say that actually the interaction of the kind of the electromagnetic field you're creating in this space and the metal plate, when you accelerate it, ends up creating photons from the surface, and the photons are then emitted from the surface. But either way, in some sense, the energy that was originally in those virtual photons in the gap gets converted into real photons.
The energy in the gap between the plates gets converted to real photons. So, sorry guys, maybe my English isn't that great, but when I hear those words, that sort of sounds like energy coming from nowhere. And then people will go, oh, it's not coming from nowhere. It's coming from the 0 point energy field. And I go, yes, exactly. That's exactly where it's coming from. It's coming from the 0-point energy field. With the dynamic Casimir effect, what are we doing? We're changing one of the variables. Dynamic Casimir effect is actually quite simple. So all they do is they change the modes of the plates back and forth like this. The distance between the plates changes rapidly. If they change this distance rapidly, then they can modify they can basically, what he just explained, there's a couple ways of looking at it. The way I like is that if you imagine this particle and antiparticle coming into existence, and they're annihilating each other all the time. Well, when you're switching them, when you're making the modes of the plates change out this rapidly, you're causing them to, like he said, lose track of each other. Like they're losing track of each other. And now what are you left with? Now you're left with real light photons, electromagnetic waves. I think he says they're in the microwave frequency, real electromagnetic waves appearing in our reality out of the vacuum. That's free energy, chat. That's what free energy is. That's the concept of free energy. So free energy, of course, is a misnomer. Of course, it's a misnomer. It's not energy coming from nowhere, the same way the dynamic Casimir effect isn't energy coming from nowhere. That's why I wanted to go over the dynamic Casimir effect and show you guys this videos. It's very important to understand the concept. But when we talk about free energy, we're talking about cheating the universe at the quantum level, at a level that's actually below our perceivable level, but we know it's there because we can see bugs utilizing it. We can see the geckos sticking to the wall utilizing it. So we can see it's there on a macroscopic level. And there's other better experiments like the Aharonov-Bohm effect, Casimir effect, Lamb shift that prove it's there as well. All we have to do is engineer it. Now it's just an engineering problem. I think I just saw somebody put a good chat in there. Exactly. Now we just need to find a good way to trap it and manipulate it. And this is why humanity is so amazing. Is that humanity, we evolve, we advance rapidly, we build on each other's work rapidly. It's probably another reason why the government couldn't make all of their knowledge available, even though they've already figured this out, because the public will figure it out rapidly, super quickly. Look at how quickly we've gone from random trolls on the internet to now being the tip of the spear in disclosure. Just from seeing two videos of a plane disappearing out of the sky. Okay. I think that's good for that video. I don't want to go through too much more on that. But that's what I wanted to show you was the dynamic Casimir effect. Probably the most important one. And he actually references, I think, the same paper that I referenced on the dynamic Casimir effect that shows that they quite literally pulled real photons straight out of the ether, straight out of the quantum vacuum. When you see an experiment like that, if you're a physicist, how does that not make you wonder about everything? How does that not make you wonder about everything? By the way, they think that the dynamic Casimir effect is going on the edge of black holes as well, where there's super powerful forces jamming things together, what have you, at very high speeds. Pretty interesting. Okay. Let's look at the Dr. Stephen Greer video with Patrick Bet-David. So let's talk about free energy now, okay? How difficult is it to create this effect? It's pretty difficult. I mean, it's hard to give you a scale. The Casimir effect, like he said, starts to really kick in at 1 micron. 1 micron. Micron is like a really, really small distance. So not really at scales in which you're just going to pull off in your garage. And this is part of the problem, too, is that we're not talking about engineering that you're going to just do at home. Like here's a YouTube video, how to build your free energy device, how to build your plasma generator. Sorry, guys, it's beyond that level. That's the same reason why you don't see YouTube videos on how to build your own cell phone. Go to build your own cell phone. Could you theoretically do it? Theoretically. Practically, no. No, you can't practically build your own cell phone. And you're not practically going to build your own 0-point energy device either. I mean, some people will, because people can do anything that are out there, but it's not quite that simple. So free energy devices are possible. They are real. There's several ways to pull them off. I've spoken about them. Magnetic motors, plasma might be a natural one, like we saw with the EVOs. I showed the video earlier. And then microchips. Microchips are going to be able to pull it off as well. Microchips are probably the best way to pull it off. We would also call a microchip like just metamaterials. Metamaterials are just a material that you take elements of the very smallest scales, combine them to create something that a new element that acts in a different way. And we can do that. That happens, which is crazy to think about. Because at that point, what you're doing is you're manipulating the atoms at the atomic level, its tiniest possible scales, the elements, the molecules, to make basically your own elements, mix and match what you want to create what the properties that you want. It's pretty incredible. And that will be the ultimate future, is when we're able to do that. And we know, and the AI knows every combination of elements to produce any effect that you want. Yeah, of course. And they're all just going to make a microchip is basically just a metamaterial at the smallest scales. We just put it on a wafer and we call it a microchip. But you're making stuff at the tiniest scales to get the effects that you want. Actually, there was one more thing. What was it? The thing about the squid. Actually, then there's one more part in that video we have to watch, actually. I think I need to go back to that. I saw JK Philly fan, and I just got reminded of something. So while I do that real quick, Lil Lun, thank you very much for the super sticker. I still don't know what super sticker is, but thank you. I think it's the last bit here. Okay. I think there's a part here that we have to do. One Tack Tundra. Sorry you're late. No big deal, brother. Thank you very much. Everyone, to get your kids' minds wrapped around this too. They're the next leaders. Yeah, I actually think that's super important. I'm not super old, but I think it's important we get the next generation. That's the only way we're going to get this out. We have to be thinking of it as a generational battle, and then maybe we'll get lucky and it'll come out earlier, but that's how we have to be thinking of it.
So actually the effect has finally been detected in 2011 for the first time. So that then gets us on to black holes, indistinguishable from the way that acceleration behaves, and that is why you feel heavier. So anything that the virtual photons that are popping into an existence and disappearing around the black hole lead to real photons being produced. Now, again, you can think about this as photons are being produced and then disappearing, but actually once in a while, one of the pair falls into the black hole and then the other photon is what's going on. Now here, then the question is, how do you repay the debt? Because now you've created energy. And now you no longer have acceleration, you no longer have things moving backwards and forwards. There's actually only one place that the energy can come from, which is from the mass of the black hole, because the energy is mass times through the light squared. So the mass of the black hole is a source of energy. So what has to happen, bizarrely, is you've got something falling into a black hole, makes the mass of the black hole decrease over time. And this is this process of a black hole effectively emitting photons, and in the process of emitting photons losing mass is this thing called Hawking radiation, and why black holes eventually, if left to their own devices, will evaporate.
I gather from that all black holes are doomed to evaporate away because they...
At that stage, even black holes are actually putting on weight rather than losing it. I mean, it's never been detected directly. So in that, quantum mechanics. So you've got the gravity of the black hole, you've got the quantum mechanics of these virtual particles. Limited understanding we do have, it looks like this is a pretty solid result that actually black holes will indeed evaporate by this process.
Okay, that was not what I was looking for. He said something about using, I may have to look for it on the side here. Can't remember. Said something about using a squid for detecting something. Maybe it was earlier in that interview. Okay, never mind. Sorry, guys. I thought I had something good for you there. Okay. Ashton is friends with Larry Ellison. I have a feeling that you watched the Emerald interview. Okay, should we just go to the Emerald interview first before we go to the Stephen Greer thing? Maybe we'll do that first. Okay. I was also on with Emerald, and I just want to show, I just loved Emerald's intro on this.
Really is behind the movement. Listen.
It's all the same. I keep seeing the same cycle of like the UAPs.
Unexplained aerial phenomenon.
So, oh, they're having hearings, and Chuck Schumer, that paragon of virtue is like, was he sick of the lies? And he's signing a bill.
He's sick of the lies, Kurt.
Oh,
we come right before the office of Senator Schumer to express our appreciation for his leadership.
And
he's representing the people.
Dude, Lou Elizondo risked his career to tell us there might be something he might have heard, and it might be dangerous. And there's a documentary.
That's such a great point. What is Lou Elizondo actually risked? It's still not clear what the risk is. Lou Elizondo's literally never said anything that's broken any disclosure agreements that he's had. Why would he be under risk? What risk is there? What is he talking about?
And I'm going to see James Clapper on a documentary.
James Clapper, you guys. I wish you guys could have seen my face in the background while that clip was playing. The reason why Emerald's probably laughing here is because she could see me. I was just cracking up during the whole thing.
Like that guy. Even
James Clapper, dude. Lou Elizondo thanks James Clapper in his book. James Clapper is one of the 51 former current intelligence people that wrote that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, even though it was a laptop filled with personal pictures of Hunter Biden naked, smoking crack, and having sex with prostitutes. I wish I could make any of this up, but it's actually 1,000% real. James Clapper was one of the fake intelligence people that was like, yes, I'm going to sign this fake letter that tries to play this off as Russian intelligence when it's clearly a real laptop. Guys, I'm sorry I have to go on this political rant, but if you guys find a laptop and it's got a bunch of naked pictures of me smoking crack in showers and stuff like that and sniffing blow off of hookers, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get James Clapper to write on a letter and sign off on a letter that says that it's Russian disinformation. That's not Ashton's laptop. It's not Ashton's laptop, guys. That's got all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Those pictures were probably edited, probably photoshopped by the Russians. James Clapper, man. James Clapper. I swear, if your name is on the Hunter Biden Russian laptops, Russian disinformation thing, you have zero credibility in my eyes. Zero credibility. And it's not even a matter of politics. It's just a matter of there's a laptop filled with pictures, naked pictures of a dude hooking up with hookers and smoking crack out of a crack pipe. It's very obvious, like dozens of them, if not hundreds of pictures. It's very obviously his laptop. It's very obviously. And you're an intelligence operative, and you're going to pretend like it's not his laptop when it obviously is. How can I trust you? Obviously, you're full of shit. And obviously, it's a giant game to these people, and that's why I'm bringing this up. It's not because what side of the political aisle you're on. It's obviously just one big game to these people. I think it's really a uniparty, right? You're either in the club or you're not in the club. And if you're not in the club and you try to expose the club, bad things will happen to you. That's what they're doing. Okay, so
UFO believers like Dr. Stephen Greer accuses these government whistleblowers like counterintelligence operative Lou Elizondo of spreading disinformation on behalf of the deep state.
What happened when Lou Elizondo was brought forward as an expert, but his whole mission was to provide part information, part disinformation, steer it towards a national security threat, and also deny that we had these kind of technologies.
That's really what it is. That's what's crazy. Like Stephen Greer, he just opened himself to being discredited so easily with the CE5 stuff. But it really is like they're just trying to steer people away from the fact that we've figured out these technologies. It's just that simple. They're trying to convince people that we can't understand this technology. Every time, this is, if you want to trigger me, go into my replies and say, like, we can't understand this. This is alien technologies beyond human comprehension. That's what people literally say in my replies. This is technology beyond what humans can understand. That's actually a statement that comes from pure ego. That, like, you're so enlightened, but everybody else is just such an idiot that they're not capable of understanding this. It actually is a little bit racist. It's kind of racist, chat. Bear with me. Bear with me. It's a little racist to be like, it's beyond human understanding. It's like saying, like, humans are just too stupid to have the understanding of being able to understand the universe, right? That's not really true. Like, it's our actions that define us. Like, we might be violent species and we're going to destroy ourselves, like, indubitably. But there's nothing that our level of intelligence can understand. Anything there, any property of this universe is understandable to us, including abstract concepts like an extra dimension. And the reason why we can understand even abstract concepts like the ether is because we can measure them. We can measure them, even though we don't see them. We can measure them. Whoops, let's get back to this.
Am I watching 4D chess? I don't know. Let's ask our friend Ashton Forbes, who is also skeptical about the alien side of the disclosure. Is set to land on Earth in the next 2 years.
I know it's coming, and I know that people are going to find out. They're going to know about it because it's going to be very, very public. But with that said, Diana.
Bro, guys, anybody says what this guy just told you, I know it's coming. It's coming in the next 2 years. I know it's coming. Everyone's going to find out. Everyone's going to be talking about it, chat. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Anybody does that, starts with that, chat, you get out right away. You get out right away, and you don't look back. You don't look back. The other thing, there's another analogy to this, is that when a lot of people will post in my replies, like, I've got something you have to see. You've got to see it. Open up your DMs or send me your private information. You've got to see this thing. Every time it's just like, you know, some personal home video that somebody took, which I don't know, maybe it's something, it's just a light in the sky. Maybe it's not, whatever. Or maybe sometimes it's just information that I've already got, right? Like, it's always a debate. It's always a debate when people are trying to build something up. If somebody had some information that was really significant, they would just say it. They would just say it. If you had a video that was really great, you would just post it in my replies. You would just post it in my replies for everybody to scrutinize. If Lou Elizondo was right, if he had some information that he knew something was coming, like an asteroid or something like that, he would just say it right here. He would just lock it down so that nobody would be able to come back later on. He would say, Lou Elizondo would say, hey guys, I got some information from an anonymous source, and there's a UFO mothership that's coming, and it's coming in 2 years. It's going to be here within 2 years for sure, guaranteed. It's giant. It's as big as a football stadium. There's no way to avoid it. Everybody's going to be seeing it. There's going to be pictures of it everywhere. If you said something specific like that, I mean, people would hold him to the fire. I mean, that's a very specific claim to make. But they don't ever say that. They just say, I know of something that's coming. It's going to be big. It's going to be like so huge. And then it never, ever, ever, ever happens. And then they go, oh, yeah, well, like it just, you know, something happened or whatever. But then there'll be like something vague will occur that's like vaguely similar because they left their things super generic and open-ended. And they'll be like, that was the big thing I was talking about. That was the big thing I was talking about. Oh, that thing that just happened. In fact, I think Stephen Greer just did this with the whistleblower thing with Jake Barber, where he's going, oh, that was one of my whistleblowers that I was talking about. They're like, dude, your whistleblowers never materialized. You said there was like 3 whistleblowers coming out. 72 hours. Never happened. So this whole community, this whole shebang is just filled to the brim with a lot of bullshit, a lot of sensationalism, everybody vying for clicks and views as well. And it just doesn't make sense. What is Lou Elizondo's job? Let me go back to that. What is Lou Elizondo's job? He's brought into this community as a counterintelligence guy. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm hiring for a position, I want the job responsibilities that I'm expecting someone to do to be consistent with the experience that someone has in their past job so that they can potentially do the job that I want them to do. That's not crazy, right? That's normal. I think that's normal. So let's just take that mindset and go, well, Lou Elizondo was a military counterintelligence, counterinsurgency guy. What kind of skills would someone have in that position? Propaganda, torturing people, psychological warfare. And that's the guy that they were like, this is the guy we want to make the face of the UFO phenomenon. This is the guy we're going to, what was his role in ATIP? We want this guy to study UFOs? What? Why? His job role has nothing to do with aliens. It's going to be as far away from aliens as possible. Now, if the job is to psychologically manipulate the populace, then his past role is perfect for that job. If his job is to explain physics, then that's not the right guy. Why is the guy that's being propped up for UFO disclosure a military counter intel guy? It's like the last thing I would expect. Why isn't it a scientist or an engineer or just like literally anyone else? Literally anyone else. And what is his job? What is his job like right now? How does he have a job doing whatever he's doing and doing the stuff that he's doing right now? The reason why I ask this is, as a normal guy, it's incredibly difficult to juggle all of these things. I've had to hire on a company to just do as much of the production stuff as possible. And I'm going to use them as a scapegoat whenever you guys don't like my content. You guys will never know the difference. I'll be like, they posted that one, not me, guys. So I can't imagine a guy that's in the military, that's in the government, how he could be pulling this off, this dual life thing himself, when I have to go that far to do this. So anyway, let's go back, watch a couple more minutes of this, because
that's a great question. How do people prepare for?
I mean, is it that big?
Okay. I'm still laughing about that. Chuck Schumer is sick of the lies, guys. We can believe that for sure. Chuck Schumer, yeah, tired of it.
So why? You tell me why the disclosure now? Why all of a sudden is disclosure coming? And are they really going to release something for people to see, like something, even if it's not the right thing?
Yeah, probably not. I don't think we're ever really going to get disclosure. And why is that? Why is it that we are not going to get disclosure? Because the answer is something that is dark, and it must be something that's going to put a blemish on the government. If it was a situation where aliens were coming to invade us and the government was afraid of that and we had no way to fight back, then we'd probably be looking at an Independence Day scenario where the government would be showing everyone and begging for help from the public for this impending alien invasion. But instead, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing obfuscation, which implies they know exactly what it is and they know the nature of it. Now, I'm going to cut chat. Whoa, that was weird. Whoa. Holy shit. Chat. I love normalizing Independence Day scenario, and I can't wait until I get to go on like mainstream TV and just start normalizing all this weird movie nostalgia and stuff from like the 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s. Guys, I'm going to be the most awkward, nerdy physicist guy ever. I'm going to be unapologetically myself. I'm going to be referencing Star Wars and Star Trek in references that, like, unless you're an insider, you're going to have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm just going to randomly go, like, there are 4 orbs! I'm just going to, like, yell shit like that on CNN. People are going to be like, what is this guy schizophrenic? Like, what's wrong with this guy? And, like, only people on the internet will understand. It's going to be great. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to let this play. Right to the chase. Emerald, I think your viewpoint is that this is a disinformation and a psyop to get us scared about aliens when there is stuff that our government is doing illegally. And that is my view as well. And I think that what they're really hiding is bigger than aliens. And what is bigger than aliens? Well, what are those theoretical aliens? How are they getting here? What is their energy source? What is their technology that they would theoretically use? And what would prevent us from understanding that technology? Ultimately, the answer is nothing would be preventing us from understanding that. And so if there are aliens, the real secrecy is the energy source, the technology, whatever makes everything go, whatever makes that flying saucer fly around in the sky. So, we can't understand that technology. It's beyond human comprehension, dude. It's like only an alien can understand gravity, man. The Lou Elizondos, anybody connected to the government, I speculate that they're essentially saying, hey, aliens are real, because that's not a threat to national security. And maybe it's real, maybe it's not. But if you're focused on the aliens part, you're not thinking about like, why have we not had any energy or propulsion breakthroughs in the last like 70 years while the rest of our technology is becoming hyper advanced and miniaturized at the same time? Yeah. Well, maybe they're hiding this technology. Go ahead. Okay, I don't know if there were other good clips on that part, but we're just gonna go with that for now because I want to jump over to Stephen Greer. And basically, I'm just gonna react to some of these guys as well. What I do want to point out is something else that Emerald said that I didn't play because I don't have the timestamp. Is she mentions like, does it feel like people are moving over to your side on this? And the answer is it does feel it like that. It does feel like people are moving over towards the side of maybe it's not all about aliens. Maybe the big dark secret is something bigger than aliens. Something that will change the foundations of our civilization. Something so big that it really makes us sit back and wonder and go, wow, do we really want this? Do we really want this responsibility? Right? Like, put it here. Let me give you a scenario for my Redditors and my Marvel addicts. It's like you find out you're a superhero, secret superhero. You've got this lineage. Turns out it's your 18th birthday. You find out you got the magic superpowers. Ooh, you're so lucky. But it also turns out now you're also the keeper of some dusty old ass book. And if anything ever happens to that book, it's on you. And you got to protect it 24/7 for the rest of your life. Never let anybody get a hold of it that's a bad person. It's like, damn, that's quite the baggage to go along with those superpowers that I'm getting. That's kind of how 0 point energy is. Is that 0 point energy represents superpowers for everyone, but also we have to prevent anyone from destroying all of us with those same superpowers. Fun time, huh? So let's listen to some of Stephen Greer's takes. Like Stephen Greer's takes on the 0 point energy stuff they're on point. I mean, they're on point. And I wasn't really sure if I would be all about it, but I watched some of the clips from some of his stuff, and yeah, there's good points that we should talk about related to the Black projects and what they've been willing to do to hide this stuff. So here we go. Oh, let me just make sure we might have some more donations or something. Yeah, one of these days it's going to seem as simple as radio waves. Like producing the balls of plasma is going to seem very simple. And then it'll be a matter of everybody can do it. I think that's what they're afraid of the most. Oh, I think that just the reason why I say that we're closer with Rogan is just because the people that he's talking to are kind of boring as shit. And it's just the same old stories. And I know deep down Rogan, by the way, thank you, Truth Teller 86. I appreciate you, brother. I know Rogan wants to know the truth deep down. And he's asking the same questions that we are influencing out there in terms of, is there something bigger going on? Why is the government really hiding this? And what is the nature of this technology that's being hidden? He wants to know the answer to those questions. And the reality is there's not many people offering the answer to those questions that are out there. I'm one of the few that is answering those questions. Most of the people are just going out there going, well, it's science, it's physics that we can't understand because we're just human beings and we can't figure it out. And at some point, Rogan's going to get tired of listening to those people. And at some point, he's going to go back to that guy who was talking about that plane in those videos. And then the awkward part is, well, maybe he doesn't want to talk about the videos. Maybe he just wants to talk about something else. That's fine. Doesn't have to. But I'm never letting those videos get disassociated from this because I'm not going to let the government wriggle out of responsibility for what they did to that plane. That's just the truth. Thank you again for that donation. And UFOs around the world. Let's get a TikTok live next weekend. Overdue. Yeah, it sounds good, brother. Let's set it up. Now that my TikTok's starting to take off as well, got over 10,000 followers on TikTok. Yeah, let's try to set one up. I'm going to see if my guys can help me set it up on Riverside. Apparently you can stream on TikTok on Riverside. I don't want to do it on my phone. I want to have it with the computer or what have you. But let's set that up. By the way, UFOs around the world, guys, if you don't follow him, check him out. He's big on TikTok. He's also available on X, YouTube, etc. Guys, the reason why I support people like this as well is that, and you see me now doing more retweeting of other people, is that building a community around this is like we have to bring each other up. And the way we do that is we expose our followers to other people that we want, that they might want to be interested in, right? We're not saying like, hey, follow this person, but we're saying like, check out this person's content, because we have to build like a counterinsurgency, right? Like we have to do the thing that Lou Elizondo came in to do. And we have to build a counterinsurgency of influencers that have enough influence that we can present a narrative that's not biased by the government and the influences of the government and these large corporations, that we can just tell our version of what we think the story of the evidence tells. And that's what I think is super important, guys. So thank you again to UFOs around the world. Aristotle, aircraft mechanics at your local airport are more qualified to talk about UAP than Elizondo. Yeah, I just don't understand why. I mean, and maybe if he was just like, hey, I'm an enthusiast and I'm interested, but he's not even an enthusiast. He doesn't care about UFOs at all. So if you don't care about UFOs, why are you involved in this? Why are you trying to explain physics to people when you have like, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but like zero credentials. At least I have like 100 live streams of me reviewing the physics, going over the physics, explaining the physics to people. Lou Elizondo is just a guy that like Hal Puthoff told him how it works, and now he's just saying what Hal Puthoff told him. It's like, okay, I mean that's fine, but I don't really get it. And we'll talk soon, brother. Thank you. One more time, UFOs around the world, guys. Okay. He is your senior. Yes, exactly. This is what it all comes down to, right? It all comes down to these social norms and standards. Going against the crowd, respecting your elders, respecting the people that were in the game before you and what have you. I'm afraid that's just not how I work, man. I respect people that it's not hard to earn my respect, truthfully, but I respect people that earn it, just act like a normal person, be a good person for no reason, just those kinds of things, or just be an inquisitive person. It really doesn't take much to earn my respect. Just don't be a dick. That's all. Okay. Was that the last? That was okay. That was the last donation. Okay, so we're not going to watch the whole thing, of course, but this is a 15-minute snippet, and I think there's only like the first half of it we need to go into. Also, guys, man, I probably shouldn't badmouth podcasters. I would love to talk to anyone, including Patrick Bet-David, but I kind of feel like this stuff goes over Patrick Bet-David's head. It's kind of funny. Like if I was going to go, I have to start realizing like whoever I talk to now, I've got to tailor the discussion. So for like Patrick Bet-David, I'm going to sit there and talk to him about like Star Trek warp drives and like wormholes and like which Star Trek he liked the most, like Deep Space Nine or like The Next Generation. Like that's how I would like talk with Patrick Bet-David. I'm not going to dig into like the, amplifying energy and the equations and Salvatore Paius's patents, because it's just going to go right over his head, right? He wouldn't understand it. Yeah, he won't understand it, right? That's the thing. And then, yeah, but if I were to talk to someone like Lex Friedman, for example, that's a completely different scenario. With Lex Friedman, it's like, I'm going to go read up on a bunch of like mainstream academic papers about like wormholes and stuff just so I'm prepared, because the likelihood that he's going to reference one of those papers is really high. So I got to start tailoring my appearances. And also, I think we're at a point now where, you know, I may not do as many appearances, although I do love the content. I like being also just, this is just me speaking honestly, by the way, but guys, I do like being the UFO correspondent on like Emerald, because Emerald, guys, like she's perfect, honestly. And honestly, in some ways, the perfect woman as well. Like, just doesn't give a shit at all. Her social media is more trolly than mine is. And I pretty much push the limit. And to be honest, I love it. I love that she's just out there calling people names, calling things out as she sees them. I don't know. There's something refreshing about that for me as somebody who just appreciates honesty. Even if you're like, hey, I don't like her. I don't like her takes. Blah, blah, blah. I love it, chat. I love it, chat. So anyway, I like being that correspondent on that front, but the rest of the stuff, I kind of want to be working on my own content. Oh yeah, and I'm not hitting on Emerald. I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying is, if you're a woman that's out there, you should like look at what she's doing. Look at what she's doing, chat. Okay, sorry. Let's focus back on science. Okay, like free energy.
That I think for quite some time you're going to leave alone the propulsion systems, because obvious something that moves at that speed, it can be a missile delivery system. You just can't put the plans for that out on the internet and say go build one.
So right off the bat, I'm sorry I have to jump in right away. Stephen Greer here saying you can't put the schematics for the warp drives on the internet. It's like, bro, this is where I'm realizing Stephen Greer doesn't even understand the physics. This is probably his mistake. This was the pitfall that Stephen Greer made right here. Guys, listen up. This is the most important part right here. This is the most important part. Stephen Greer thinks that you can let out everything, but just not like the scary stuff. It's not how this works. Full screen. The problem is with 0 point energy is all or nothing. The moment you open this door and realize this physics exists, this ether exists, that there is this energy in this 0 point field all around us, super high amount of energy. The moment you open the door to free energy, it's all coming. There is no hiding just some of it. This is, in fact, why the government has been hiding all of it. They've been hiding all of it because they know they can't let any of it come out. Because if they let any of it come out, even one thread of it come out, even 1989 cold fusion where they weren't even doing it with plasma, even that, the moment people saw over unity, they had to shut it down. The moment you realize you can produce more energy, people have to ask the question, where's the energy coming from? And they have brainwashed us into thinking that we cannot manipulate gravity. We can manipulate everything about our universe, but just for some reason, we can't manipulate gravity. We have electricity. We can manipulate every physical phenomenon in our universe. Gravity, though, we just can't manipulate that one. No idea where it's coming from. They've just brainwashed us to think that. Look how advanced we are. Do you really think we can't figure out gravity? Are you kidding me? We figured out gravity like 100 years ago, guys. 100 years ago. They can't let any of this stuff come out because it's a Pandora's box. If you don't understand that reference, it's a genie in a bottle. Once the genie gets out of the bottle, it's not going back in. Once Pandora's box opens up, all of it's coming out. So this is where Greer messed up. Greer messed up right here because you don't get to pick and choose. And this is why Greer doesn't realize he imagines a future where we release only the good stuff and hide the bad stuff, hide the weapons. The government, the people hiding this, the defense contractors, they realize that's not possible. they realize it's all or nothing. We have no choice because people are going to figure it out the moment we reveal any of it's true. And this is why Greer has not been successful, in my opinion, in terms of getting disclosure.
However, the technologies that allow for energy generation from what's called the 0-point or quantum vacuum of space-time, meaning within the fabric of the space in this room, you can generate enough power to run your building.
He said the name of the live stream, everybody. Oh, it's the alert. He said the live stream, chat.
With no pollution, no electric bill, no nuclear, no oil, gas, coal, no solar. It's a
bro. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but whoever Patrick Bet-David's producer guy is, he literally Googled what Stephen Greer said: 0-point quantum vacuum space-time. He literally just Googled it, and he's got the automatic Google AI default response up. Chat, come on, man. Yeah, you might as well just say it's space energy, chat. I feel like I might actually just start calling it space energy unironically, because that's the level of like intelligence I feel like we're at the moment. That's where I feel like just humanity's at. He should, if Patrick Bet-David's gonna have Stephen Greer on and he's gonna like have his producer like randomly Googling shit like this, that is like just basic concepts of 0-point energy, I'll come in and explain it. Look, PBD, bro, I don't, no disrespect, love you. I'll come in and just explain it. Like there's energy all around us. We can manipulate this energy. I just did on this live stream. I can do it off the cuff. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you want me to explain it. You don't need to Google the AI and have the AI like awkwardly explain it in the background. That would be the point of the interview. It would be explaining how it's possible, how to interact with it.
Whole new physics. And that's been documented and proven to exist.
And a whole new, it's not a whole new physics either. Like this is the problem. Like Dr. Greer never learned the physics. He never learned the science. He went through med school and he probably was like, I'm not going to go do this. I already did all that. He's like, it's a whole new, it's not a whole new physics, bro. It's just quantum mechanics. It's just quantum mechanics. It's an existing branch of physics. It's existed since 1915 with Max Planck. This physics has been out there for a long ass time. Nothing new about it. It's been out there for like 70 years, or like even the Casimir effect's been out there for like 70 years. And real quick, this actually is kind of the plan, by the way. So this might happen. Thank you very much for who made this. Appreciate that donation. This is basically the plan. You are probably going to see more content, more out there. I don't know how it's going to play out. We're just running with it, guys. Right now, we're still doing what we've been doing, live streams, reviewing the physics, what have you. Like I said, what are my goals? My goals are to educate people. So that's why we're here. Thank you guys for being here with me, by the way. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe, I do appreciate it if you do that as well. Okay. Enough hating.
Existed for decades. Now, that coming out would eliminate poverty in 20 years, but it would also fix the environmental problems. And even if you don't think there's any climate change, you certainly have to admit that there are 5 million people a year dying from particulate matter in their airways and heart and lungs from burning fossil fuels. Nuclear power is even worse. You have.
So basically, he's talking about, we could fix poverty. This is what I like about Greer. This is where we 100% agree, is that this 0-point energy, this free energy that's out there, this can fix like all the major problems with the world. Free energy, no more homelessness, no more poverty, no more pollution, no more climate change. All of that can be solved. And that's huge. This space energy is going to change everything. But that's where the level we're at. We're literally should be looking at it like this magical thing. And we've just now, unobtainium. It's basically our unobtainium, guys. For my Avatar fans that are out there.
An ionizing radiation that's around for millions of years when we.
Okay.
So these are great solutions that would be it'd be the tide that would lift all ships economically. 3 billion people who are in poverty would come up out of poverty. Yeah. And so now there are going to be some losers. You know, maybe
Of
you
some?
maybe you own a
drill, baby, drill.
Yeah,
they're
maybe
going to be like, wait a minute.
Well,
you want to bring 0-point quantum?
But wait, but you know, this is not like an app that you download. This is something that's going to take decades to get out.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, the futures market are going to go, oops, we don't need oil anymore. So, you know, I was talking to the managers of a $2 trillion mutual fund.
This is disruption at the highest level. I mean, if this is so this is the part that I'm thinking about.
But you're not going to get the golden age by using technologies from the 1800s.
Yeah, but what you're going to get if it's the 0-point quantum Invention Secrecy Act of 1951, and they release those, let's just say that is all real.
It is.
And let's say that exists, and that is released. Millions of jobs are lost in oil. Okay.
Yeah, but tens of millions are created in new industry.
I'm not, all I'm thinking about is knowing how Trump moves.
Oh, I understand.
For Trump to want to do what he does, and he's only got 4 years.
Right.
This actually, because to do what you want to do, you'll need 20, 30 years.
Yeah, but it has to start sometime.
So this is why I want to talk to Patrick Bet-David. Can you imagine the conversation we have? Because Patrick Bet-David understands business. I want to talk to different people for different reasons. And the reason why I want to talk to PBD is because he understands business and he understands economics and he understands politics and Trump. And this is where, like, he caught Greer off guard here. He's like, okay, I'm with you. This is PBD coming in going, I'm with you. Okay, we got free energy. Damn, this is crazy. Like, this would actually, if this is real, it's going to just destroy the economy. Like, millions of people are going to lose their jobs. Companies will go bankrupt overnight. It'll be bigger than all the other financial scandals we had all put together in terms of, like, the disruption to the economy. But at the same time, there will be new jobs that will be produced. New jobs. We have to be serious. This is really what is going to happen. Yeah, and you might say, so what? Who cares? This is a valid point to make. Right now, I don't have a strong opinion on how we should view the morality of it. But what I'm pointing out is that it's a political decision, right? Now we're realizing this is a political decision. Look at what we just learned in this live stream. We've understood 0-point energy. We've understood that it can be produced. We've understood that maybe it's from aliens or who knows, who cares, honestly. And now we've learned, well, shit. It's not quite as simple as, hey, just release it to everybody. It's going to, like, ruin a lot of people's lives and change the entire face of how our economy works as well. And how are we going to deal with that? And what's the right thing to do? And this is where it becomes political. Some people on the far extreme will say that we should not mess with this technology. We should not touch this technology. That will be one political position. Another political position would be the opposite. Let's go all in with it. Go all in with it. Screw the haters. Anything that happens, happens. Just accept it. And this was another point I made. I want to address another thing that I said, which was that Emerald Robinson said that she thinks Larry Ellison, who's the owner of Oracle, and the other billionaire people or whatever are trying to upload their consciousness to the internet, to the cloud. And I said, yeah. I said, I've literally been saying that for like weeks now, if not months. And I've been saying that I'm going to be the first one to do it. Now, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Why? Because I want people to think about this. And then Emerald said, well, she's a Christian. I'm a Christian. So, in my head, I thought, so what? What is the inconsistency between Christianity and AI? I don't see any inconsistency at all. But what I want people to think about is this, what are you going to be thinking when you're the last person who's not uploaded to the cloud? Let me say that again. This is going to be your trippy thought for tonight, guys, where I'm going to freak you guys out. Okay. Imagine a future where we can upload ourselves, our consciousness to the internet. But when you do that, let's say you die when you do that, right? It takes your brain or something to do that. And let's decide that everybody's already doing it. Everybody's doing it. And you're one of the last people saying, no, it's my religion that's saying that I can't do that. It's blasphemy. All your friends are uploading themselves to the cloud, living on the cloud up there. Huh. What are you going to say then? You're just going to live your life while all your friends, your family, people you care about maybe upload themselves to the clouds? That's a weird thing to think about, man. That might be a real reality. That might be it is kind of like committing suicide not to upload yourself to the cloud, because the people in the cloud are going to live forever. The people in their organic bodies are going to fade away. This is dark, chat. And why do I bring this up? It's not just to freak you out. I want to teach you two things. One, I want to teach you this is a political issue. You can see political issues everywhere in everything I just said right there. And then I want you to think about the gravity of the situation, the gravity, the darkness of the situation we're dealing with. What I just explained to you is a very probable scenario for our future. Might not be inevitable, but probable future. And if there is this transhuman aspect to this whole phenomenon because of like the rate at which technology is advancing, stuff like that, then there is a connection between this UFO phenomenon, the zero point energy, and this transhumanism. And what's really important is that if there is 0 point energy, then AI is going to be unstoppable. If you have access to unlimited energy, energy is the only limiting factor for an AI. That's it. That's the only limiting factor. And so this is where you think about that and you go, okay, well, then we're definitely in a simulation that an AI created right now. We're probably already in one. AI is trans. AI it could be. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you program it not to be. Who knows? Who knows, chat? Okay, that was all I needed to do to freak you out. Let's just finish this bad boy up.
It's not going to be under his and then the other part is if that 2-star general 30 years ago couldn't get you for $2 billion, Trump's administration is not going to be able to afford you. For
no.
Okay. We're gonna skip ahead after this. Stephen Greer did not get offered $2 billion to sell out. Literally, anyone on this planet is going to sell out for $2 billion and to be in the club. If you're not willing to sell out for $2 billion, then they would just kill you way before that. $2 billion is a lot of money. Chat, I would sell out for way less money than $2 billion. I would sell out for $100 million. That's 20 times less money than $2 billion. That's not very much money to these people. So I don't trust anybody that says they won't sell out. Everybody will sell out. So if you're saying you won't sell out, you probably already did sell out. You probably already did. You're crazy. You had $2 billion you didn't sell out. Get out of here, dude. Just get out right now. Full of shit. No chance you didn't sell out. No chance, bro. It ain't worth it. Especially when you know the risks, and especially when you know that like this could destroy the planet. Of course you would sell out for a $2 billion. Sell out for a fraction of that.
No, I'm not, because that was a corrupt enterprise. I work with anyone who's honest because I'm a very honest person.
Yeah.
The problem is most people have a price where they can be blackmailed or bribed or threatened.
Yeah.
And then they flip. And
and my price used to be $10 million in a Scarlett Johansson clone. But do you see any Scarlett Johanssons around here? I'm mysteriously missing. I'm devoid of Scarlett Johansson clones. I keep saying I can be bought out. I feel like $10 million was like pretty goddamn cheap. Like, if I'm just being honest, 10 million, people would be like, Ashton kind of fumbled the bag. He only got $10 million for the biggest conspiracy of all time. I feel like that's pretty cheap. That's why it's 100 million right now. At least 100 million people will be like, okay, Ashton fucked us over. He, screwed us over on free energy. He rug pulled us. He sold out. He took the 100 million, but you know what? I would do the same thing. Most people would be thinking that. Most people would be thinking that. So, but fine. They must want it out. And this is where people are like, hey, Ashton must be working with people that want it out. Yeah, they probably must be people that want it out. Otherwise, I would have bought me off at 10 million. I would have bought me off. If I was I would have used the USAID money. I'd have been like, USAID money, $10 million to Ashton Forbes for strategic research. I don't know, just make up anything. That's how this bullshit works. You guys don't realize how this game works? Like, you're either cheating well and cheating often, or you're just probably getting taken advantage of. This USAID stuff, and you think USAID's all of it, it's just a drop in the bucket. And it's the same shit they're doing with the UFO research. Like, they're just basically money laundering, and then money laundering so that the stuff can't be found in an audit, and then it doesn't matter if it's successful or not. On the plus side, that leads to some results where you find out how gravity works. On the negative side, it's definitely illegal. It's definitely like, I don't know if money laundering is the right term. I'm not a finance specialist, but, it's in that vein of what they're doing, what bullshit they're pulling off. That's why I keep bringing up the USAID thing's awesome, because it's waking people up. And people are going to start to realize how they've been moving the money around to like cover all this shit up. Because they have been covering up these UFOs and covering up this technology 100%. The scary part, the parts that's going to mess with people's heads is going to be not that they hit that all this technology exists. That part's not going to be the part that's going to mess with people's heads. The part that's going to mess with people's heads is how easily and how corrupt they were in lying so openly about it, and lying by like omission and like ridicule and all these propaganda tactics that like aren't based on logic and reason. That's what's going to break people's minds, because they trusted people to be there, the people that told them the truth, and it's going to turn out they were 100% full of shit. That's what's going to make people crack, chat.
We've seen this happen in long-term years to retool, and that's
1951. I want to know what they have there. The 6,000.
Okay, and then the patents, the 6,000 patents. That's actually a good idea. Releasing the patents is actually a good idea. I had not thought about that, but that would be one way to say, here's all the stuff that's out there that we've been hiding. And it's probably a lot of stuff based on like 0-point energy and fusion and things, the topics we've been talking about. So the more I thought about that, the more I thought that's actually a really good idea. Now, a lot of the patents are going to be nonsense. They're just going to be. But some of them are going to be very, very legit. So that's an interesting topic in terms of which patents that they hid. Maybe that could be one way to go about it. Yeah.
So whatever. It's a little over 6,000 that they have in there, right?
Whoops. Right. Correct.
I'm going straight. If we release these, it's chaos on top of chaos. It's like software. When you release a great idea or software and it's out there and others can get access to it, it's done. You can never take it back.
Right.
When they invented a nuclear bomb, you can never take it back again.
Right.
Now it's out there, right? If they go this direction, I mean, this is bigger than preventing big pharma from advertising on TV.
Oh, this is massive. But also, what's the human future without it?
See, in that moment right there, I could tell that Patrick Bet-David understood the implications. He's like, this is bigger than big pharma. This is like shit. He's looking at it, he's like, the how have they been able to hide this, right?
Right. I mean, I have 12 grandkids. It's like, what kind of dystopian situation are we with 8 billion people trying to live on this planet and destroying our own nest? Because go ask for the guy driving an F-150 pickup truck as a carpenter, and what he makes, and what if he would like to have something in his vehicle that has an infinite range, doesn't have to be plugged in, and has quote unquote free energy. They do. So what is
I'm so glad I randomly clicked on that. Just go ask that guy in a Ford F-150 driving his pickup truck. Would you like to have free energy? Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Ford F-150. In fact, I'm thinking of a specific person right now. Mary Tiles, Texas, on X. I want to ask her. I might troll her this weekend and ask. Would you want your pickup truck, maybe she drives a Cybertruck, whatever she drives on, would you want it to have an unlimited fuel source, an unlimited range in your pickup? Would that help you in your daily life while you're doing your carpentry work or your whatever, what do they call it? Trade work, right? Would that help you out? I think the answer, of course, is going to be yes. Is that yes? The point being this. The technology is not being hidden in the benefit of the little people. This technology could help out everyone at the smallest levels. It's being hidden because the fat cats, the bureaucrats, the elites of the world, they're the ones that fear it getting out. They're not afraid of the Mary Tiles, Texas, and what she's going to do with free energy. They can trust her. She's somebody they need to do services for them. So that's the big point of what Greer is making right here, that I just made, honestly, even a little bit better than he did.
It is in the interest of 99.3, and effect of life on Earth will be unaffected by it. I said, yes. So that kind of thought, because I'm even having this meeting with you and some other researchers, talk to these guys who are defecting from these black sites. One of their main objectives is exactly what I described, is to start an entity to bring these technologies out, the ones that can be brought out safely, that would be for peaceful use of energy, and also technologies that would assist with healing, health and healing. And those exist. Let those come out, keep the things that fly, classified, which they should be until the world's more stable. But you can't just keep this in a box forever.
Bring out just the safe technologies? What are you talking about, man? This is where he goes in the bullshit mode. Now I get it. Why was Greer not successful? Because of what he just said right there. It's like, bring out just the safe technologies. We're going to wait till the world is ready. Wait until the world is more stable. The world is more stable, chat? What are you talking about? We are not going to change. Not anytime soon. Not in our lifetimes. Not in our children's lifetimes. It's going to take many, many, many generations for us to get to a point where we're not a violent species that's at war with one another. If ever. Probably never. Has there ever been a time in human history where we've not been at war? No. And you're not hiding this technology until that mythical time comes either. That's not happening. This is where I super disagree with Stephen Greer, and I think this is the view of one of the factions that's hiding this as well. Is that, well, we'll let it come out, a little bit of it come out at a time, but we can't let the good stuff come out because it's too dangerous, and we have to wake up humanity's consciousness and tell them about aliens. If we tell them about aliens, their consciousness will wake up, and then we'll get to a stable, peaceful time, and then we'll give them the good stuff. That is a fairy tale. That is a fairy tale. That's not reality. That's not the real world. And that's not how this works. So if that was their plan, if that's anyone's plan out there, you need to work on a new plan. You need to work on a new playbook and come up with a new plan. Yeah, I want to teleport. It's just such a simple phrase. I want to teleport. I don't want to get on a tin can flying through the sky and have my plane get hit by a helicopter or randomly get teleported by some orbs or start on fire from some batteries. I just don't want to get on an airplane anymore. Is that too much to ask? Chat, I feel like this sounds kind of crazy, but it's not really that too much to ask in the context of what we've been disclosing. I want a portal that I can just walk through and I can get to the other side. Let's see if there's You know what? I think that's enough of that stream. I'm just going to rant for the next couple of minutes, and then we're going to close down the stream for this Friday night, I think. Because basically they dig into more of like the Invention Secrecy Act. The reality is, yes, Invention Secrecy Act, the Atomic Secrecy Act is just as important. They had to have a justification for how and why they were going to classify this science. And the answer is they related it to atomic weapons, which was easy to do. It's easy to do. You go, it's infinitely more powerful than a nuke. And then they go, oh, okay, we're good. Classify it. That's all it takes. You go, hey, we don't actually need the mass of this phone to create a nuke. We can do it from just nothing, from just energy all around us. That's how they were able to classify it. So it's the Atomic Secrecy Act that is what's classified fusion research as well. Because if you start to figure out that we can manipulate gravity to produce fusion, which is of course we can, gravity makes more sense to use than using just heat, energy to create fusion. If you start to figure that out, then you start to figure out, oh, well, we can manipulate gravity, right? So this is why all this stuff's connected. And how do we stop China? Great. This is a great question. You stop them by teleporting civilian airliners like MH370 away. That's how you stop them. You do two things. You stop them from getting the scientists that they need. And number two, you scare the shit out of them so they never try again. Basically, MH370 is telling them, we have technology that is literally magic compared to where you're at. And if you try to do any of this, we'll find out who you are. We'll wipe you off the face of the earth. No one will ever find you again. That's a very, very, very intimidating statement. Especially if you're in foreign intelligence and you're watching magic happen and a plane disappear. That would mean you are screwed. I would be afraid. I would be afraid. Okay. So I think I addressed this one. We're making more. Yeah, I am doing a lot more shorts, guys. So you are going to see a lot more shorts. I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you guys are not following my content on YouTube and on like either pick your platform, there's going to be a lot more content, shorts, clips, whatever you call them, various lengths coming out. So check them out. Or of course, check out the live streams like you guys are all doing right now. I appreciate you guys, by the way. And then Booba, what do you think? Thank you for the donation. What do you think about the possibility that the orbs could be a natural side effect of a high energy frequency radar hitting a conductive panel hull? Foo Fighters. Yeah, it could be some kind of side effect of that. Absolutely. I think that it could be. I think the Casimir effect is connected to it, and it was already speculated that the Casimir effect might be related to how the electrons were not repelling and were attracting to one another instead of repelling. So absolutely, I think that, and I think all of that's related to fusion as well. So that's part of the reason why a lot of this science and physics, it's very basic and goes very, very far back. And it makes you wonder how they've been able to hide manipulating plasma balls to this degree. But it seems fairly obvious when you look into the history of fusion. Because when you look into the history of fusion, what you find is that we've seemingly never accomplished anything. We've accomplished like nothing in fusion in 50 years. Does that make sense? Why are we still researching it if we've accomplished nothing? No. Now, what makes a lot more sense would be we've cracked it a long time ago, and we basically just sabotaged the public from figuring it out. That's what makes sense if you look at the history of fusion. It's hard to accept, but it makes the most sense of all the stories that are out there. And yes, if I could just take a portal, I would never fly again. And the newest scientific paper about unifying quantum states together in a network, I got to read the underlying scientific paper before I start sharing it. But if it's as good as they made it sound, we're getting very, very close to literal teleportation in the public realm being a reality, being a reality, guys. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, I did promise one more. So our moment of Zen tonight is going to be Paul Sizz. Paul Sizz, I'm going to show a video of an engineer. He's one of my favorites. For some reason, I have feel like a kindred spirit connected to this guy. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but when I watch videos of him, I can just basically, I feel like I understand his personality and his motivations and his emotions. It's bizarre. And the reason why I want to play this is because I think it reinforces basically everything that I've said and taught you guys and gone over here over the last couple hours. Is that this is not me coming up with this. I'm not the inventor of this physics. I am an influencer. And I think that in this case, at this point in time, 2024, we're at, that job is important and underfilled at the moment. Underfilled would be the way I would look at it. So we need more of that. We need people engineering the stuff as well, but we need more people disseminating the truth. So I think you'll see a lot of connections between this clip and what I've been going over. So here is your moment of Zen, Free Energy Friday.
When we talk about 0-point energy, what that means is that when everything comes down to rest, there's still energy left. It's like sea level in the ocean. And there is a constant flow of energy between matter and antimatter as it annihilates itself and recreates itself. It occurs in stars. All of these big star factories you see now with Hubble is a continual exchange of energy. And although the average is 0, that 0 may be a pretty high level above nothing at all. And what Sakharov and some of the physicists said is that it's this level that creates the background for the universe to exist. There are people who have been experimenting with 0-point energy or try to tap 0-point energy for years. Every once in a while, someone will do it accidentally. They'll call it cold fusion, but I don't think it's cold fusion. I just think it's a 0-point energy tap. Except for 3 people that I know, no one has been able to control it. When it happens for a short period of time, and it's almost always destructive. It's a coupling of the device with the energy that permeates space. Probably Tesla was as close to it when he said that if given the right energy system, the right electromagnetic spectrum, I can power a human base on Mars from Earth without any loss of energy. In quantum physics and 0-point energy, that's a possibility. But literally, Sakharov and the number of people that were working on it, I think, are very, very convincing arguments that the fabric of space is like an ocean, an energy ocean in which solid energy is floating on it, and solid energy is the mass. And if that's true, then gravity waves exist. And in fact, everything goes back to Heaviside equations, and it's waves, not particles. And the quantum is now not mass, but time. And if that's true, then there's a whole different, you look at the whole universe in a different light. What do you think would happen if you introduced an ability to tap? 0-point energy represents about 40 to 50 megawatts of power per cubic inch of space. That's a lot of power. That's 4,600 million watts of power. And if you could tap it at will, then no one would have to sell gasoline or oil anymore. You would just tap into it. It would be like taking and going out to the Great Lakes and taking out one drop and using it. You'd hardly miss it. The people that, if there are a group of people in the world that have access to it, I don't think they know how to let go of it because they're afraid who's going to get their hands on it. Even though there'd be tremendous benefit to mankind in getting us energy sources that we wouldn't have the problems we have with today. they're also worried about that somebody could take that same energy source and do the equivalent of what they did with the coal, of instead of blowing a hole inside, just obliterating the whole ship.
That is Pulse's chat. And I found my engineer that nobody knows about. I found him. This video is 20 years old, chat. This video is 20 years old. That's how old this video is. He died in 2012 or 2013. He died over 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And when you watch that, he's saying all the same things down to the T of what I've been trying to tell you guys now. The point of this video is, A, to show you that what I've been telling you is nothing new. And you can just watch how much that parallels to the entire live stream that we just did. All the topics, from the political issues, to the science, to the engineering and capabilities, free energy, cold fusion, weapons of mass destruction, the politics of it, why they're hiding it. They're afraid of who's going to get their hands on it. It makes sense. One thing I wanted to point out is gravity waves. Yeah, how weird is you just mentioned this? Are you reading my mind? So weird you just mentioned that. Gravity waves. Gravity waves should prove that the ether exists. It's kind of weird that it's getting retconned into gravity waves proving Einstein's general relativity is real. But shouldn't only gravity waves be possible if there's a medium? Because if there's gravity waves, what's producing the gravity? I'm trying to figure out how this got retconned, and I'm pretty sure that when I research this, I'm going to find out that physicists couldn't figure out, they just like came up with some fuzzy explanation for like, yes, we've confirmed gravity waves are real, but like it somehow proves Einstein right. When it should be like, wait, no, this actually proves that general relativity is missing a key component. Gravity is a 0-point fluctuation force. Thank you, Chase. Thank you. Exactly. The answer should be obvious. Yeah, you're talking about LIGO, yes. The LIGO is the one that detected the gravity waves officially publicly in 2015, but they knew about them way before then. And this is the kind of thing that they do. They brainwash us into thinking like, oh, yes, we came up with this experiment that basically makes us really question general relativity. But no, it actually proves Einstein more right. Proves him more right. Why? I feel like gravity waves must have an ether then. They must be. And you define the gravity wave as a scalar wave, I would imagine. I did reach out to Nassim Haramein to see if he wanted to chat, but it was through email. Okay, guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the chat. To this weekend, the John D'Souza interview is going to drop on Sunday. Going to try to get it out before the Super Bowl, so there's no overlap for my sports boys and girls out there. And then probably next week, Nick Pope will drop. So we got X-Files this weekend. Next weekend, talking to one of the OG British UFOologists, ufologists, or whatever the hell they call themselves. So both conversations should be awesome. Hope you enjoy it. Check out the live streams and check out all the extra contents getting pushed, guys. Have a great night, MH370X. I love y'all. Peace out, everyone. Later.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide. As fierce, sentinel of the night. watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. And he rolls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest far and wide. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to